What do we know from scripture and from science, quote unquote? Can we know what the world looked like before the flood? Do we have any ideas?
Well, we have some ideas. The problem is God destroyed so much of it. He said, I'm going to wipe mankind off the earth, and he did. He wiped it right down to the crust in many places. We can do a little bit of work in terms of how the sediments first filled in certain parts of continents. What I'm seeing is a progressive flood. So if you read through Genesis 7, you can read through the Bible talks about how water went higher still, and reached a peak on day 150. But you can actually look at the sediments that were deposited first in the lowest areas, and you see sediments that kind of went on top of those and on top of those, like pancakes. You can see how it kind of filled in. So we can interpolate, kind of strip these sediments out and figure out these are the lowest areas, these are the higher areas. We can get some ideas about the pre-flood world. And we also believe in a version of plate tectonics, which we call catastrophic plate tectonics. So we believe there was kind of a Pangea-like world. My research has made a few modifications to it, but very similar to the conventional story of Pangea. But we just think they moved apart really quickly during the flood year. And so there's a lot of things we don't know about the pre-flood world. The Bible is very quiet about the pre-flood world. It gives us some inklings in the beginnings of the first few chapters of Genesis. It talks about, they were using musical instruments, they were finding minerals, there were rivers. There's even debatable whether there was rain or not, but there must have been some sort of a mist coming up. The Bible talks about, but much of that all of a sudden is blank. So the world was so wicked that God didn't even provide a lot of information for those 1,600 years or so between the creation and the flood. Now all of a sudden we get to the story of Noah, and then how God preserved the human line through Noah and his three sons. But there's not a lot of information there about the pre-flood world.